Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cross Play episode 104. My name is not Stephen Fontana, but that is Andy Asimakis, and we are not live on Twitch right now because we have a conjoined two brain cells, and the two-factor authentication goes to Stephen's phone. So
I think this is Steven's way of trying to be an essential worker on
yeah.
Of dual screens, and he's like, see, when I'm not there, things can't work properly, so you can never let me go.
Yep, exactly. So we are not live today. We will just be recording this. But I'm Taylar Allen, and this is Dual Screens Crossplay, the internet's #1 gaming podcast, starring people that you have never heard of, probably. Dual Screens Crossplay posts each and every week for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including our home, Podbean. Of course, dualscreens.com could not exist without our amazing patrons, especially our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler, FNH Paul, and Vegas Girl on Fire. If you would like to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/NDS podcast, throw us $1, get access to the Discord, come hang out. Or you can be like the Patreon producers and throw us lots of dollars and help us make shows like Faction Wars, a New World podcast, which I host, or the Dual Screens podcast, where we interview lots of cool people, stuff like that. Andy, before we get into it,
Taylar,
we have a
yes,
very special episode of the Dual Screens podcast coming up this week. Do you want to give people a little teaser? Little sizzle reel.
We do. So Sony did this thing this week where they just announced 10 new indie games, which I think are either console exclusive or have some deal with Sony along some lines. And a brand new indie game from a brand new studio, from a brand new dev, a solo dev called Animal Well, is coming out hopefully at some point this year. It is a game that even the developer has a hard time describing. Okay. There's a blob. It has Metroidvania qualities, but it's not really a Metroidvania. It's like an anti-Metroidvania. It's wild. It's crazy. It's a really, really, really good conversation. We went so over the time. We had like enough time for like 2 rapid fire. That's how long the beefy interview was in this one. So please check that out this Friday only on the Dual Screens Entertainment Network.
There we go. And you left out an important distinction here.
Oh, did I?
Dual Screens is the very first interview that this developer
almost forgot
has done with anyone.
Yes,
#1 in the world.
I was poking fun because they did a blog post on the PlayStation blogspot, and they were saying how they want to keep the game's like details under wraps until the time is right. And then within like 2 days, I saw a full-blown preview on IGN because they got like an early build, and I was like, well, now someone's played it. So
yeah,
you're not that cagey about the details.
Yeah.
So I was like, and it was like the first preview. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have the first interview, and that's what we did. I'm very excited about that.
Very excited. Keep an eye out for that on your podcast service of choice or YouTube this coming Friday. That's what, February 18th.
Yeah, so, baby.
Alrighty, it is time to get into the adventures in gaming. Andy,
oh boy, I love it.
What have you been playing, man? We haven't podcasted together in a very long time.
No, we've never done just us before either. I think ever.
I know it's kind of, it feels like kind of we should like keep it under wraps a little bit, like so like kind of we're going behind dad's back or something.
I know, like talk about firsts. This is just it feels natural. It feels like it feels good.
100%.
So I finished the fuck out of Sifu. Sifu, oh man, it is a game that just does not let go of your soul and your body. And the second I was done, And I looked down, I was like, how did my DualSense survive this entire game without being thrown against the wall or chewed through while I was playing it? I jumped right back in, like immediately after, because I
Yeah,
saw
because
this.
you were
I,
saying that you were going for
yeah,
the secret thing, right?
I saw this thing. It's got multiple endings. I saw this thing. You can spare the bosses, and I'm like, what kind of insane person? Because the bosses are such a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah,
The amount of joy derived from murdering them is, there are no words.
sure.
What you feel deep inside when they die. But I can now spare them. But now that I've beaten the game and I've killed them once at least,
Yeah,
I've matured, I've grown up. So I'm like,
yeah.
I'll play it again, but this time I'll be a nice guy
Hmm.
and I'll let them live. So I'm playing some of that, uh, and sucking a lot less than when I first played it.
So I want to ask you about Sifu actually, because I haven't had
Oh,
a
sure.
chance to
Oh
jump in and
boy.
play it yet.
Oh, I'm excited. Yes, please go ahead.
Um, did first and foremost, did you play Absolver?
So Absolver, I tried and
Hmm.
it did not click with me.
Yeah, because that's how it was for me too. It was
Mhm.
free on PS Plus or
It
something, I
was.
think.
It was.
So I
Mhm.
think everyone has played it at this point.
That's when I
And,
first played it
and
as well.
everyone kind of has that same sentiment where they're like, I tried it, I don't know,
Yeah.
but the concept seemed really cool, and I could tell that they put like a lot of love and care into like these different martial art styles and stuff.
Mhm.
So since we have like had a similar experience with Absolver, I feel like I kind of know the answer to this. But do you feel like this is a significant step forward in that like combat style
Mm.
and like weightiness that they had from that game to Sifu?
It's I really think that they sat down, they were just like, we did one thing really, really well in
Mhm.
Absolver. And if we shed the multiplayer and all the other stuff that comes with it, all that
Mhm.
baggage, if we just tear that all down and focus on the intense beat 'em up hand-to-hand combat and really make that our prime objective, we can crush it. And they really did something special with this game, because the combat has like a fluidity to it. It feels like you're in an actual fight
Yeah.
sometimes, like when you're dodging, you get those swift punches in and the pairing, and like as you learn new moves, it's, yeah. I think they took what they knew from Absolver, and we're just gonna focus on this.
Yeah. They
And
like
it
doubled and
shows,
tripled
it
down
shows,
on
yeah.
that melee combat.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
It's, yeah, it's tough because I can't think of any other beat 'em up game. Maybe Streets of Rage 4.
Mhm.
There's like combos in that game and you feel like the weight of the what's button mashing in that game, but this is way more sophisticated because you can't
Sure.
really mash. You can't mash at all
Yeah.
in this game. You just can't. You really can't. And it's like those old games, those old arcade coin up beat 'em ups grew up a little bit and evolved,
Hmm.
and this is like the evolution of that, and it feels like actual fighting.
Very cool. I dig that a lot. What
Yeah.
else you been playing, Andy?
So I also got, I'm not sure why we're being showered with review codes for things that we don't deserve, but whatever, I'll take it. Shadow Warrior 3, which is out like in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Got my hands on that. Can't talk about it at all,
Cool.
but
Did
if
you
you
play
love
Shadow
the,
Warrior 2?
yeah, I did, yeah. So if
Okay.
you if you love the series, then
Fans of the series will appreciate.
yeah. Hey, if you like Shadow Warrior, then you're gonna smile for no apparent reason when this game comes out. Those two
Yeah.
things aren't related. I'm just saying you're gonna
Yeah.
smile.
You will smile, and also the game will come out.
Right.
Unrelated.
Right. Um, and I am wrapping up. Let's see what else. Rise of the Third Power, which is just again a amazing JRPG.
Cool.
Funny story about that. You get that little Nintendo Switch notification if one of your friends pops in, like, oh, you're playing so and so, like
Yeah.
Taylor's playing Pokemon Unite or some shit like that.
Hmm.
So I started playing it while Ken was online, and it just says Rise of the Third. And he calls me and he's like, "Are you playing a game called Rise of the Third Reich on Switch?" And I was like, "No."
Nintendo would never.
I mean, I was like, "That'd be an awesome ass game. Like, what would you even do?"
Yeah.
Setting false flags and a bunch of other weird shit. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Babe, no, that's not a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Stop it." So I'm like 30 hours in that game. I'm not sure when it's going to end, but I'm grinding and leveling
Eventually.
up and
Eventually.
fighting like super bosses and shit. What are you playing, Taylor? I know what you're playing.
So, well, yeah. As always, I'm playing New World every single day for the rest of my life. I am over 1,000 hours deep into that game. A game has been out for less than 2,000 hours. Like, it's probably closer to like 2,500 now or something. But
is it more? Is the going back constantly I need to feed this beast every day because new shit happens? There's like
no, not at all.
It's just
it's the same shit.
You wanna play.
Well, a big thing with MMOs is like the community, right? And like the friends that you make and stuff. And so like I play that game to like dick around in voice chat and hang out with, you know, cool people that I've met through the game and stuff. I will say the political intrigue in New World, like I could write a novel on the betrayals and the rise from the ashes and all of these stories and stuff. We just merged into a new server because they were, you know, doing server merges and stuff. And on the previous server, our faction was pretty good, and like we all kind of banded together and overcame this like super toxic group that controlled the entire map previously, and it was fun. Like it was like just the most amazing underdog story. We come, and the people on our faction on this new server are just the biggest assholes, right? They just fucking suck. They're the worst. And so now we're like scheming behind the scenes, and like there's espionage and spying, and we're like trying to get as much information as we can before we swap to a different faction to try and like fight these guys and stuff. It's just like the politics of the game are so much fun, man. It's super deep. Enjoyable. Oh, dude,
just some Game of Thrones level shit you're talking about right
now. It literally is. This faction or this company that we came into, that's a part of our faction. They own the 5 or 6 most profitable territories on the map. Like they are just rolling in money, right? But a bunch of their people stopped playing to go and play Lost Ark, and so they're. Okay. So we must strike while the iron is hot. It just, I could go on for hours. We'll talk about this on Faction Wars later. I won't bore you guys.
But I want you to talk about the new hotness you're playing.
Yes.
So the love of your life.
I think this game that I've been playing is my game of the year so far. Obviously it's only February. We have a lot of big games that are coming out in the next 2 weeks. But Nobody Saves the World from Drinkbox Studios, the guys who did Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2, is fucking incredible. Like it's so good. The writing that they had in Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2 was top notch, right? Like those guys are hilarious. They know how to write very well. Their humor translates through in this game super, super well. Like there's a multi-part quest where there's this like hermit that supposedly has the magic power to like save the world. It's just a side quest, right? So you're doing it, and every time you delve into this dungeon with this homie that's, you know, trying to get this hermit stuff for him to like cast these spells, it ends up being like just smut. Like it's just his porn stash just all over the map. He's like, yeah, the hermit said that we have to go find his ancient scrolls or whatever. And you just like see the character's face go, what the fuck? And like freak out, realizing it's like nudie mags or whatever. It's very charming. The writing in it is so good. The jokes come very quickly. Every single character that you meet feels like unique and different, and more importantly, the like actual game mechanics are so incredibly deep. Like Guacamelee was cool because you had like the different wrestlers that you kind of switch to, and they had their powers, and it was like this Metroidvania coolness or whatever.
Right.
This takes that and ratchets it up to like 500. You have like 15 or 17 different characters that you can unlock. Each of them have a unique passive and 2 unique attacks. But as you level them up, you can have up to 4 passives. So you can combine passives from other characters, and you can also have up to 4 different attacks. So you can combine different abilities from all these different characters, and they all have like different movement speeds and health pools and stuff. And like as you're leveling up, they're all getting stronger. And so you can like mix and match and make these really cool combinations. So there's like a magician that pulls rabbits out of its hat, and you have like these summons, but then you can also unlock a necromancer that makes it so that the damage that you deal heals your summons. And so if you're in these big fights, you can just have like fucking 50 rabbits that are just self-sustaining because the damage that they do heals themselves, and you just keep popping out rabbits. Like it's so cool, man. And the ability to like mix and match and create unique combinations for these dungeons and different caves and stuff that they have is so much fun. I'm like 25 or 30 hours into it, and I have enjoyed every single second of it. It has been so much fun.
Yeah, I remember you described it in our Discord, like one of your favorite games ever,
Yeah,
of all time, and
Mike Kirsch.
That's high praise.
Yeah,
really high praise.
Mike Kirsch gives me shit because I have frequently said on this podcast, on my stream, whatever, that I love games that give you build diversity. And this game is build diversity, the game. Like you could just mix and match shit as much as you want. You have like the one locked in unique passive and the one locked in unique attack per character. And then you can just throw whatever else you want in there. And it's so much fun. And you can like level up the skills too. So they're like generating more mana, so you can use other abilities. You can level up the passive. Like it's so much, and I love it. And you're just like leveling all this shit up, and you like level up each of the characters by using unique combinations. The game encourages you to like be very creative, and I love it. It scratches my like level up itch. It's awesome.
So you could say that this game was tailor-made for you.
Yes, exactly. I have been playing one other game too, though, Andy. Review coming soon to the website. But we got a code. We got a code for a game called Castle Morahisa, I think is how you say it.
I have not heard of this one.
It's very Japanese. It is Slay the Spire Japan. And,
okay.
And, yeah, so it's like a cool deck builder game. It's really fun. Like it's unique in the way that they approach some things. They make it so that you can access the shop in between any fight. You can't really see the path ahead of you except for the very next fight, and it gives you a couple of different options for if you want to like go for a fight or go for an elite or go for like a treasure chest or whatever. But you can't see like what's coming up after that. Which is very different from Slay the Spire. They have some really cool synergies where you can like stack buffs on yourself, and for each stack of that buff, you get 1 point of armor. But then when you hit the maximum amount of stacks, they all disappear, but then everything is free in your hand. So you can just like play a bunch of cards that turn. Like, it's cool. The synergies are a lot of fun. I've played that for like 30 35 hours at this point. It's pretty tough, honestly. Like I feel like I'm pretty good at deck builders and stuff. I've played a lot of Slay the Spire, Monster Train, Nowhere Profit, all of those. And this game is pretty difficult. Part of the reason that it's difficult is because the translations aren't the best.
That's part of the charm, though.
Yeah. So
it's all good.
Some things say they're gonna do a thing and they don't do that thing. They do a different thing. And so but but yeah, I'm polishing up a review on that. Should be coming out here in the next couple of days.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been really fun. It's a cool one for sure.
All right, and I think it's time for
Yes,
our indie news, our indie game watch.
give me the indie news.
A few things I want to mention here. One, Infernax out now, Game Pass, PC, Switch, PlayStation. Go and get it. Game is freaking amazing. If you like Castlevania 2, which not many people do, and if you like Zelda 2,
Which
which
not many
also
people do.
people do, it takes the things that were broken about those games, broken.
Mhm.
I mean, those games are perfect. They're perfection to me. But many think they have faults, which I don't think exist, but I digress. So if you like those games, if you like classic Castlevania like gameplay with a lot of gore, game is out now. Play it, try it, love it. It's a hoot and a half. Um, Children of Morta has a co-op thing out now, which
Ooh,
is
fun.
amazing. Yeah, so there's
Yeah, that's
that.
awesome.
Go and check that out. And then I plugged Animal Well at the beginning of the show. The game, just look into it. Do a little cursory search online, do a little googly, look it up.
It's
And
beautiful. It's a
it
very
is
pretty game.
it is a stunning, again, for pixel art. This guy does some insane stuff with
Mhm.
these engines that he's made into his game. So please check that out. And with that, Taylor, I think it's
Let's
time.
talk about some news.
We got some news. We got some
So,
newsy news. Go ahead.
Andy, as the spoopy game guy,
Ugh.
what the fuck's going on with this spoopy game on PlayStation?
Okay. So I love hate this news.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll say why I love it first. So there's a horror game called Martha is Dead. It's coming out, I think, towards the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And it's a very, I don't think it's a well-known game unless you're like really into horror and like what's on the release schedule for horror games for the year, like
Mhm.
myself. So Martha is Dead is getting a snippy snip, like our friend Taylor here. And for those who don't know, look in
Hey,
the
no, don't tell them. That's only for the Patreon people. Stop
well,
it.
that's why you have to go to the Patreon to find out what I'm talking about. It's getting a little bit of censorship, but only on the PlayStation console. So good side of this coin is I think this is going to bring attention to this game more than there was before because of the conversation / controversy surrounding this. So exposure is good, publicity is good. You'll get some more eyeballs on your game. It was on a whole bunch of websites that didn't cover it before.
Sure.
This news broke, so awesome.
This
Like,
is, I mean,
kudos.
not exactly the same, but this is kind of like what happened with Dead Cells, right? When Dead Cells came out, there was the whole review debacle with IGN and the plagiarism and stuff. But that got a lot of people talking about Dead Cells.
Yeah.
And then it became the best game that came out in 2018, and
You
no one
know,
disputes that.
Of all games that the review writes itself, the game is so good. Like you gotta take notes. Like
I know.
like it's how do you struggle to praise a game? It's I don't get it.
Yeah. We don't have to like rehash this, but like
you
have to like hate playing video games to not play the video game and then just like
I know
tell people how you feel about it. Like
I understand. Listen, I used to get paid for reviews a lifetime ago, and I was told from people, listen, we need like a not shitty score for this. So don't make it sound too bad if you hate it. And I was like, oh man, that's hard.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the reverse side,
yeah,
the more dirtier side of this coin, it's like landed in a pile of shit. This coin is I don't understand why Sony has a need to come in and further censor content from a game that has already gone through the process with the ESRB.
Yeah.
It's a thing that exists for a reason. They look
Well,
at your game.
and it's not even like this game was like rated AO or something, right?
Right. Right.
Like there are plenty of like very graphic or overly sexualized games on all of
Mhm,
these platforms. And it
mhm,
seems like when Sony picks and chooses these fights, it
mhm,
just doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
mhm.
Like they're not super consistent with it,
Right.
which is just so weird to me.
And what I think is going to be a problem is when we get this game and people are playing it on Xbox and PC, we're going to find out exactly what Sony deemed was inappropriate for PlayStation.
Sure.
And if it's not like a full blown, gang rape, I don't know
Yeah.
what could it possibly be that you're not gonna that you think this shouldn't be in our game at all. So I think it may backfire on them when it becomes a nothing burger in the end. Like it's horror. Like horror is meant to shock you and
Yeah.
disturb you and get under your skin. And like some of the most violent games I've played were on PlayStation. And I
Yeah.
can't even like, Mortal Kombat 11 has some of the most intensely graphic
Oh yeah.
photorealistic fatalities of people's bones being torn from their flesh. So I don't understand what it was. And that's the other layer. It's like we know it was censored in some
Mhm.
way. We don't know how exactly.
Yeah.
So
In Sony's defense, did you see this clip that was going around on Twitter from the game?
oh no. What was
Oh,
that? Talk to me.
you like in first person cut this dead woman's face off.
Okay.
Uh and it was very disturbing. And as a little tiny baby boy that hates being scared, I for one am all about censoring that. So
Was it Resident Evil 7 that you had to reach your head into a
you're
open
silly if
mech?
you think I played Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil 7, which you can play in VR on PlayStation 4. There's a decapitated dude and there's a key like lodged, I think
In
somewhere in
his
his,
throat.
yeah. So you have to
Oh
reach into the neck hole, to the head hole, like, I think almost elbow deep,
yeah.
and then yank it out. So again, I don't know exactly what we're trying to prevent people from seeing,
Yeah.
because I think at this point, and also it's the game is mature. It's
Sure.
it's meant for older audiences. So
Mm-hmm.
let me be the judge
Yeah.
of that. If I say, "Well, this is not, I don't like this. I'm gonna turn this off." I have the right
Yeah.
to do so. Don't be fucking waving your censorship dick on my games and cutting shit out.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that. Don't like it. Don't like it.
Well, there is another game company
Mm.
that is stopping you from doing things that you want to do, Andy. And that is Nintendo. On a scale of 1 to 10, how upset are you? As of late March 2023, which
Yes.
is over a year away, it will
Mhm.
no longer be possible to make Nintendo eShop purchases from
Yes.
the Wii U and the Nintendo
Mhm.
3DS family of
Mhm.
systems.
Yes, Taylor. On a pair of systems that I hacked years ago and haven't turned on in, at this point, I feel like it's two console generations worth of content. This news is heartbreaking, and I'm going to grab my pitchfork and riot and burn down the headquarters. I want to buy. I want to buy some games for my Wii U. Um, Listen, nothing is forever, and
Yeah.
storefronts like this. I'm pretty sure if we had PS1 storefronts like in the late '90s, they'd also be gone too at this point. And
Yes.
it's just what happens. These things can exist forever. I understand if there's a small group of people that own a Wii U and still buy things on Wii U. Ditto for 3DS. 3DS, I feel, has a bit more skin in the game because it was a successful platform with a lot of units sold, and there's a
Yeah.
strong audience there that may enjoy that. Some great games on the 3DS, but you know, we got to move on.
Yeah.
We got to say, all right, listen, you can still play your games that you own. No one's saying you can't
I
access
know.
those or enjoy those. You can't spend any more money on these old, you know,
At
these
this
old
point,
systems.
what else do you have to buy? That's what I want to know. Like,
Nothing is new.
yeah,
There's no new releases.
you've had a decade. Like, what else is there? Can I make a confession to you?
Did you buy a game on the Wii U
No.
last night?
No, I have not owned a Wii U in many, many years.
I gotta buy Pikmin 3 before it goes away.
I think they were giving Pikmin 3 away just like if you bought a Wii U. They're just like, here, have a game, please. I have never owned any iteration of a DS ever.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Any of them.
Is it DS Fat, DS Lite, and the 3DS, and the
DS
pizza,
Nuts.
the pizza slice, DS Nuts. Get out. You
Listen,
take your nuts and leave.
I'm allowed to make that joke. Yeah.
To find out why, please go to patreon.com/NDS podcast to find out what's happening with Taylor's nuts specifically.
Specifically.
Wow. Was there a reason for that? You just didn't want to. Are you a PS2 Vita guy? Is that what it was?
No, I was like not really a handheld guy. I played Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP a ton, right? But I had those like into like 6th, 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, I started playing Xbox 360. And I was just like a console guy, you know? So I was playing my Xbox, I was playing online with my homies, didn't have any handhelds.
Right.
And then I was a broke high school kid who didn't have money to buy a handheld and whose parents like basically forced me, if I wanted to have any joy in my life, I had to pay for it myself. So I just never bought one. And then by the time I could like afford consoles with my own big boy money, I was buying PlayStations. I was buying the new Xboxes. I was buying a PC. So
you want that new Call of Duty. You want that Gears of War hotness. You want exactly. Time for no
fucking
3D Mario. Yes, like
Pokemon Black 2, like
Kid Icarus. What? I don't care about that franchise. Wow, that's interesting. I think I've owned all of the. I didn't do the 2D one because I had the 3D. That's why I bought the thing because I wanted the 3D effect. But yeah, I feel like, there was a little uproar with the whole PlayStation version of the story a few months ago, if you don't recall. Yeah, like we're shutting down PS3 storefronts. So everyone was like, "You can't take that away from us."
This is the problem with digital ownership.
Shut up. And you're just like, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. Do you want to pay the bill to keep the lights on for these things? It's gonna go away at some point. Yes, even your PS4 is gonna go away, like, not as quickly as you would imagine, but shit, next 10-20 years, ain't gonna be there no more. But yeah, it's more of a, on a more serious note, I feel like, it's a nice little period. Like, these things are now officially done. Like, the chapter is closed, the book is done, turning a page, it is what it is. I don't think it's worth like huge uproar, but
they're also giving you 13 months advance notice,
right? So it's like, if there's shit you didn't buy in the last 10 years that you had your eye on, check your cart. If there's anything in your cart, like, all right, I gotta check out, get that sale from like 6 years ago. Is it still valid?
Do you want to know what else isn't going to be here for too much longer?
Oh, tell me, Taylor.
Battlefield 2042.
Okay. What happened to this game?
I was so hyped going into this launch, Andy. I was like, yes, they're in such a good position to like finally kick Call of Duty. It's going to be a down year for Call of Duty. Like, people don't seem to be vibing with the World War II thing. We're going back to like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, modern warfare time. Like,
right.
No,
You were like,
This,
it's gonna smoke the hell out of Call of Duty in the fall. Like it's gonna be the new go-to.
And it had every opportunity to.
Yeah.
This game did not fail because Call of Duty succeeded. Call of Duty succeeded because this game failed. Here's the thing. This game has like 6 guns in it. I'm not exaggerating. I think realistically, it's less than 15. I think there's like 5 or 6 types of guns and 2 or 3 that you can pick.
It was that bad.
Yes. It's awful. It's awful. There's just nothing. It's just content barren. The game looks like shit. The game plays like whatever. But there's just nothing keeping you around. And finally, EA acknowledged that in this like town hall thing that they had for their investors.
Right. And I kind of want to run through the sequence of events here. We went from EA saying, yeah, we didn't quite meet the target sales with Battlefield 2042. That was the first thing that came out. I think it was like a few months ago. Then they were like, well, we're not going to tell you how many copies it sold.
Yeah.
We don't want to tell you how bad it did.
More than 10.
Yes. And now you have this town hall. Taylor, I'm going to read to you a statement from this town hall. And I think it is the most terrifying thing I've heard in a very long time. It really spells out the state of big budget AAA gaming.
Yeah.
And what it's become for a lot of big publishers. I'm going to read this and just digest it. Okay. EA acknowledged that the company has historically had bug issues with DICE games at launch, and that the bug count for Battlefield 2042 did fall into the range that they would have expected when compared to other launches. So it was believed that the issues would be manageable. So what is being said here is that there is a threshold, there is a standard for bugs allowed for a game at launch.
I feel like we all knew this in our hearts, right?
On the DICE side, yeah. But
we all knew that this was actually how developers were looking at game releases and stuff.
Right.
But having them say the quiet thing out loud, like, bro.
It's a scary thing. There's something. It really is. There's something that really, we talk about scary games before. Ain't got nothing on this right now. This rattles me. It is like such an analytical, like fucking board member ass way to present this to. You know, it's like, oh, the bugs were within the range of outcomes that we've seen in previous DICE games. So, you know, we thought it was viable. Like not taking into account like the severity of the bugs, or what the bugs actually impacted. It was just how many bug. And when you describe a game as you have with 6 guns, when there's not enough to distract you from the bugs, like look at a game, which I think is a good segue. We'll get there. Like Cyberpunk, that launched buggy, but there was still a fully realized world with shit to do that people.
There was a fuck ton of content
that people found enjoyment.
Yeah.
But when you have a game that has no real content and it's like, and you can break it in 2 seconds while you're playing it, you gotta reassess, because people are gonna turn on you.
Yeah.
And they did actually vote with their wallets. They did not buy the game.
Yeah. I still remember my very first multiplayer game in Battlefield. I spawned in, I died within 3 seconds, and I watched my kill cam, and I died from someone who was shooting me underneath the map. And that's when I knew. I was one of the ones that were swindled. So, you know, feel bad for me, I guess, or something. But yes.
It's just, it's funny because, I don't want to overhype this Friday's interview, but one of the things we touched on was the importance of delivering a finished game on day one.
Yeah.
This is coming from, I know it's an indie developer with a much smaller budget, scope, vision, what have you, but the philosophy is there. Like, I want to finish something complete and get it out.
Yeah.
I don't want to patch it or DLC it endlessly. I want a product that's finished.
Yeah.
And I think big games can learn from that.
Yeah.
That thinking process a little bit.
The bug count total is much lower when you're a small indie dev.
Oh yeah. Now they're gonna announce at the next town hall, we're gonna lower our threshold for bugs.
Bug count threshold.
we're gonna we do -5 on the bug count, guys.
Yeah.
That way we're gonna have a lot less people.
New KPI, bug count threshold.
God, I was reading comments like some guy was saying how when it took me like 1 second to shoot a car and it blew up, I knew the game was fucked. Like it was just so poorly optimized.
Yeah, it was rough. Speaking of poorly optimized video games.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about this Cyberpunk patch.
Let's get into it.
We have a lot of people in our Discord, and by a lot of people, I mean like 2.5 people that are very excited about this.
Right.
Steve is downloading Cyberpunk again to try and jump back into it. They just put out this next gen patch, calling it update 1.5. The patch notes are pretty beefy. Like it is extensive, the things that they did, and seeing the like Digital Foundry comparisons and stuff, the side by sides, it definitely looks better. But also this patch was supposed to come out almost a year ago. Is it too little too late for Cyberpunk on this?
Yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk was one of those games where I was caught up in it's a new CDPR game. So I expect a great world, great storytelling, great side quests, great content. But there was always that lingering, but this is a new kind of genre for you.
Yeah.
Very new. And you talk about your vision and your ideas, and it seems like, I don't know if you're going to fit all that in there at launch day.
Yeah.
And then the thing comes out and it's so deflating when you see how buggy it is and how incomplete it feels. And it's just, people like us, Taylor, we're not like a 1-2 game person. We don't do like Call of Duty, FIFA, and some other game, then the latest Rockstar game and some other big game. We spread the love.
Yes.
Amongst many, many titles.
Well,
and
I have been spreading my love much less
in
lately.
one direction.
Yeah. But
I'm saying it generally speaking, I think you play more games than most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell my boss I can play video games while I'm working. So
yeah. Totally.
That definitely helps.
Ditto for me too. But yeah, it was just okay. This is it. It's not ready yet. It needs more time in the oven. I'm gonna move on. And I moved on like emotionally from this game because you're seeing other games that are coming out that are just way more polished. And a game like this, given what CDPR has done with Witcher 3 especially, it's gonna be a beefy game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. And I feel like I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, we have 2 very beefy games right around the corner. We've got Horizon, we've got Elden Ring that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Like, yeah, the timing on this isn't great, and I'm in the same boat. Like, I actually enjoyed Cyberpunk. I played it on PC, so I didn't have the like last gen console issues that a lot of our friends had. So I was fine. I thought the game looked totally okay. It wasn't anything to write home about. Everything had kind of like this weird blur over it from what I remember, but I enjoyed my time with the game. I thought the writing was interesting and the characters were cool. And I thought it was a cool idea. And then I got 25-ish hours into it and the game ate my save. and I had to start over, and I just emotionally couldn't do it. I
Yeah,
immediately uninstalled and requested a refund.
not
Like,
disheartening at all.
yeah, I just like
Not soul
through
crushing.
through all of that, I persevered through all of these dumbass bugs, and then it just like completely eats my save, and I'm just like, I
mean,
can't do
listen,
it again. I can't.
the bugs gave us a lot of fodder. You know,
Yeah.
it gave us a lot of moments, a lot of meme worthy moments
Yes.
where it was funny watching people defend the game because like, oh, the bugs make it better. It's like, now you're just, you know,
Okay, Bethesda.
don't,
The bug is the feature.
don't. What is this, like PR speak? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But listen, I admire folks, especially those in our Discord who actually like are excited about this update, who are like, you can see it's like they put actual work into getting this thing looking better, running better, making the world feel more dense. Like the driving mechanics are all new. It feels like it was an alpha at first, beta-ish, and now it's like, here's the full game that you've been waiting for. And you know, if you were excited about it when it first came out, now it's like redemption time for CDPR. And you know what? Again, I'll always say this. I don't enjoy it, but I think it's necessity when a big company fails in a very public way. Like we're seeing now with Battlefield with this game when it first came out, because it's humbling and it reminds them that they have to do better. They can't just release things out the door and get that quick buck and sell your 13 million units day one, and then you have this huge cloud of negativity over your next release. So
unless you Call of Duty, ayo.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, let's take it home. Do you have a hype zone for us this week?
I do. It's a good one too. It's really, really
Ready.
good. So, you know, I'm a fan of the pixel art, everything. If it's got sprites, I'm all over that shit. You know, I can't get enough. It's a timeless gaming art form. Never gonna go away. It'll always look better as we age, as you do more cool shit with it. So you are familiar with the Final Fantasy pixel remaster games they're doing now.
Yep.
So they just released Final Fantasy VI.
Oh.
And Square messed up the classic suplex move on the train boss, which, if you remember back in the day, you could suplex the train ghost boss, and the train's like actually upside down as you're holding it and suplexing it. But in the new version, they even bothered to flip the asset. It's just grab the train and then slam it down. But the hype zone of this, Taylor, is our friends at Something Classic, who are working on their own JRPG, Quartet, actually did the proper suplex on one of their train bosses in their game to show Square how it's done.
I watched this video. It was shared in our Discord, and I could not stop laughing. It is just like the greatest subtle dig I have ever seen. Like petty in all of the best ways. I love it so much. And for the Quartet crew, thank you for gifting us this incredible clip that we can now cherish forever, on top of a game that I'm very, very excited about.
Before we go, Taylor, we
yes,
do have a couple of mailbag questions I want to go over. There are two specifically.
There's a good one. Can I do Nuffs?
You could do Nuffs. I'll do Maltesers first.
Okay.
Because it's been sitting there for like a very long time.
We promise we have not been ignoring you.
He did say for your next crossplay. This is a next crossplay.
This is technically my next
yes
crossplay since he posted that. So he was just addressing me in particular.
Yes. Our good buddy Maltese asks, do you see another long period between console gens coming up? Think about how long it took to go from Xbox 360 PS3 era to the Xbox One PS4 era. Could it take that long or longer to get to a PS6 or even a PS5 Pro, given the state of the world today? Hmm. That is a great question. You want to give me your thoughts on that first, Taylor?
Yeah, I think that is a very good question. Um, I think that we are going to see generations elongate
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately it makes sense for the hardware manufacturers to have their stuff in market for longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it gets to the point where it's like restricting the creative ability of your teams, that are making games and things like that, and like holding um, those games behind, then that's when it makes sense. But we have the ability to iterate within a console generation, not even going to like a pro version, but just like
Mm-hmm.
a new slim model that streamlines some things. Even like Sony has already done this with the PS5, right, where they kind of changed some of the heat sinks to make it more cost effective for them,
Mm-hmm.
and made it a little bit more efficient or whatever. I think that these hardware manufacturers want to elongate these generations, and so ultimately it's up to them, and we will see the generations continue to be longer periods. Now, I don't think we're ever going to, unless there's another like catastrophic economic collapse. Like, I don't think we're going to see another like Xbox 360 PS3 generation, right? Because that
Mm-hmm.
shit lasted forever.
Mm-hmm.
um but I do think that we'll see those generations slowly start to creep out, 8 years, 9 years, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
um and we'll continue to see hardware manufacturers try and push the limits before they have to put out a new box.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I agree with all of that. Just to add a few things, I think if you look at a game, especially like Horizon Zero Dawn, and now with Forbidden West coming out in a couple of days, if you just watch the comparison videos of even the PS4 base version of the sequel looks incredible. So the
Mhm.
team has learned a lot over these past couple of years where they can really draw out the power and the efficiency of these consoles.
Yeah.
I think when you take that coupled with millions and millions of people buying a system, you want to stretch that out for as long as you can. And also, as you see a big push, especially in Sony's corner, for games of service,
Yeah.
like that's like they're a big focus for them. So having a longer life cycle for a console and keep filling it with these kind of games that
That also have longer life cycles.
exactly will flock to and will play every day forever
Yeah.
and ever. I see these getting longer and not shorter in terms
Yeah.
of the gaps between the generation leap. And also at a certain point, when the PS6 and Xbox Next get here,
Mhm.
you have to wonder how good will those look on the graphical spectrum, and could that be like, all right, we've capped out.
Yeah.
It looks like real people now, so we'll
Yeah.
stop here and just make games forever on this thing.
Mhm. Well,
So
and
yeah.
there's a number of different technical advancements that have to come before these companies just decide, like, all right, let's put another box out. Like
Mhm.
Sony and Xbox could decide tomorrow, let's put out another box, but without advancements in like 8K TVs
Right.
and high speed chipsets and graphics cards and things like that, without
Mhm.
seeing further advancement into that, ray tracing, like all of these different
Mhm.
technologies that they don't develop and like produce internally.
Right.
And Sony kind of does, but like their TVs and
Mhm.
shit, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like it, there's a lot that they're relying on to continue to move forward before they can take that next step forward, right?
Mhm.
So
Right. Right.
there's
Right.
a lot that goes into it. All right,
Yeah.
the other question. This will be a quick one, Andy.
You just want to get to that one, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. This is from our friend Nuff. This relates back to our very first story from the dual screens report. Hey, Sony, what the fuck, dude? So, Andy,
Well,
please answer the question.
this could also apply to like the fucked up Horizon Forbidden West on the storefront. Like you can't buy
Yeah,
the cheaper one. There's some
the
like
preload thing.
some fuckery there with the preload. So
This could also
you
have
know.
to do. Did you see this on Twitter? With the fact that Aloy has a beard.
What?
Yeah. Hey, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it
I've
up.
got to bounce. You can follow us over on Twitter, twitter.com/dual_screens, at Pansky, at It's Perjure. Thank you very much. My wife's screaming. I'm sorry. Something happened. I gotta go.
All right. I'll let Taylor go, and I'm just gonna be like, thanks for joining us. That's what happens when you do not a live show, but like I guess a one and done show. So that'll do it for this week. Please join us next week. We'll be back on Twitch live and just being awesome as usual. And as usual, people, speaking of which, always be excellent to each other.